you lived Fortunate Son, right? You lived that song. So that's another thing that would be kind of derived from your experience of being drafted. Because regardless of what people think and what commercialization has put on the record, it is a protest song against the draft and Vietnam. And it's this idea that rich kids and powerful kids don't have to do this, but those who don't have those means.
Well, here's something that's really important to understand. Okay, so I went through my military experience before there ever was Creedence. And I came home. I actually was mustered out of active duty right into the Bay Area, San Francisco, in 1967, the summer of love that you've heard about for 50 some odd years now. And I was, I grew up in the Bay Area. I didn't come from some other place and, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. I had grown up there, and so I had I was part of the culture that was there already.
Totally.
I think Bay Area, San Francisco, obviously fairly liberal, a kind of a left of center leaning attitude. And of course, my mom, I'm getting off here a little bit, but my mom was a big folk music enthusiast, so I grew up also with those leanings, and particularly Pete Seeger, who is my idol. I mean, in a lot of ways. So anyway, so I'd been in the military. I come home. At that time, I'm thinking probably now I'm back to my real life, and definitely part of what, I almost never met a real person who called himself a hippie. It seemed to be sort of a Time magazine invention, but yet jokingly, because we were all young, it's just the power of being young. It's the mindset of being young. And of course, that means all the rest of the world is pointing their finger at you and in that sort of looking down, that condescending way that they let you know that you're not doing it right, whatever it is. Because all young people, they know they have the power, and yet they also have that guilt trip of the old people looking at them and saying, you're not doing it right. And you're looking back and saying, well, you sure didn't do it right.
Real.
So we all, young people, and I was one of them, considered ourselves in that generation, hippie or whatever you want to call it, right? But of course, all young people who were in that situation were very much against the war, and it got this thing got used later very well by the government, and it wasn't getting used too well at that time yet under Richard Nixon, of trying to put the blame on the soldiers, right? And so, but the people that were around me who were just free society, you might say, were certainly blaming the soldiers. Anyhow, I was a guy that had a different perspective because, now I'm a hippie. I didn't wear flowers, but I think I wore beads at some point. And I wore, usually wore work shirts. I didn't wear tie-dye. I don't know if they had even invented tie-dye yet. But my friends would all be, talking about the war, blah, 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 and they would, curse, soldiers and grunts, whatever they called them. And I would always this would be my line, my typical, because suddenly I would get on a bit of a soapbox and say, you're just wrong. Do you look over there? Do you understand? Especially in airports when we were traveling, you'd see guys in uniform because everybody was, how can I say it? The Army was all being shuffled around on commercial planes till they got to their base, you might say. And so you'd see a bunch of soldiers, and I'd be with my friends or be with my band even, and they're pointing out the soldiers, and I go, don't you understand? That guy's a kid. He's 19 years old. Everything he likes is the same stuff you like. He likes all the same music. He feels the same about his government. He feels the same about this frickin' war. He's 19 years old. He just happened to be unlucky like I was. He got drafted, and now he has to do that. I mean, that was the point of view or the insight I was allowed to have because I'd been in the military. So that's exactly what is informing or giving the energy to my point of view, particularly in Fortunate Son.